Hello and welcome to Business Without Bullshit. I'm Andy Uri and alongside me is my co-host Pippa Sturt.
Hi Andy.
Unbelievable. Hello Pippa. And today we are joined by Craig Allen, which is also a really famous person, isn't it? Craig Allen. Anyway,
Is it?
Oh, there's a Craig. Anyway, CEO and founder of Gold Standard Nutrition, a healthy frozen meal business whose company ethos is based on one simple idea. Healthy food should be easy, high protein, low sugar, and always effortless to make. Sounds like my cup of tea. It's for the
It's
community.
not tea, Andy. It's
food.
high protein food.
High protein food, yeah. Because I quote, good nutrition shouldn't be an effort. It should be the standard for everyone. Very good. Craig, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Craig, what's keeping you up at night?
I thought about this question, and I think the one thing I worry about is like the paranoia of failing. I'd nearly failed with GSM once, and when I did it again, second round, that was what keeps me up. And I think the paranoia is what has helped us succeed second time around, because you second guess everything you do and you look for every expense, you look at every penny. You make sure there's business plans in place. You don't wing it quite as much as
It doesn't make for a particular peaceful life, though,
no, it
does
doesn't. It's hard. I find it really hard to switch off. So I think that's what I've tried to mold GSN as a lifestyle as well as a business, so that I can think about it all the time and enjoy what I'm doing, and incorporate the fitness side and incorporate the eating side. But yeah, I'd say that the fear of failing is probably what helps GSN succeed, but also like stresses me out in my own quiet thoughts.
You almost failed once.
So 2012, 20 years old, started GSN, and when sort of 3 years
You were
on,
20 years old.
I was 20
you was
years
20.
old. Yeah. And we had the first 3 years. So to give you a bit of background on GSN, I did a year at Manmet University studying business enterprise. And the course was going to set me up to be able to set up my own business.
You're Liverpudlian though, aren't you? You're from Manchester?
No, I was born Rochdale, but moved over Yorkshire.
Okay.
And went to uni in Manchester. So yeah, it was a course that...
So you always wanted to be a businessman, kind of, or start your own business?
I always wanted to be a gangster.
After I realised I wasn't going to be a footballer, yeah, it was kind of... it was always wanted to do something for myself, and the family. My dad's always run his own business, so I could see that sort of the life balance he had, and I always knew I wanted to do something of my own and be able to own my own business.
So okay. I mean, running a business is tricky, and I mean, you said a really interesting phrase there about maybe some acceptance about being a lifestyle business, which, to be honest, a lot of sort of food and drink brands or FMCG cosmetics, those sorts of brands, a lot of them are lifestyle businesses underneath it, because you have a small team. Manufacturing's tricky. Even if you're selling in 1,000 supermarkets, there's not enormous amounts of money. But is that where, or are you trying to make this a big global brand, or?
There's aspirations for GSN to be a bigger brand. When I say lifestyle business, I want it to be something that everyone involved in GSN and what we portray as a business is that you should be leading a healthy lifestyle. So we want to make eating healthy as easy as possible, as affordable as possible, and it needs to taste good in order for people to stick to it and want to diet. So GSN incorporates that as its ethos, and like everyone that works for GSN and any touch points we have, we try and encourage healthy eating, but also sort of your active lifestyle. So, we have a built-in gym in the office. It's free food, free fruit, sort of perks. The perks of sort of working is like the private healthcare, and we try and basically look after staff as much as you can, because we want the mental health and well-being to be strong. We want them to be sort of fit and healthy as individuals. So if we're living that lifestyle, it's easier to sell that lifestyle going forward.
It's funny. I wonder when the shift happened about this healthy thing, because it's like the message got through, but there's a bit of my brain that is reacting constantly, an older bit that's kind of like, not as in like an older bit of my brain, but there's a generational gap that to be a man when I was young was just about mental strength, being tough mentally. It wasn't about, there's only Arnold Schwarzenegger and a couple of people who had big muscles. You never saw it in the street.
Jeff Capes,
and being a man was all about being mentally tough, you know, and being obsessed about your own fitness and health seemed like a weakness. And it seemed like, oh, I'm down the gym and I'm worrying about. It's like, fucking be a man, you know, eat fucking
down
sharks.
15 pints.
Down 15 pints, get up and go to fucking
meat.
work. And some point this shift has happened. And now it's like, the addiction. I mean, one of the things I was reading about ages ago or listening to, because I barely read, you know, but it was about how the sexuality of man became comfortable. So before it was only women who could be sexy, and then it became sort of men could be sexy. And this is also tied into sort of, the sort of
the advent of George Clooney.
Yeah, maybe that it's okay as a man. Like also it would seem in my generation, or again, unmanly to be like, hey, look at my sexy body. Or like, you know, people looking at themselves.
I don't know why I found that so funny.
Vanity is a weakness, it would be seen in my generation. And there's a bit of it that still struggles. Yet at the same time, if I think about the conversations I have with my wife, the conversations, you know, cis dying and stuff, you know, if you don't have your health, you have nothing. So the younger generation have it right. I think I'm annoyed with them. I think I'm like envious of them. But anyway, I'm sort of rambling, but I'm like, I wonder when this shift really happened, because it would seem that the young just see it so differently to we.
I think what Andy's trying to say is make me feel better about the fact that everybody cares about health.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. There has definitely been like a generational shift of, like, I'm 32 now. I set up the business when I was 20. And the first exhibition we went to was one called Body Power. And that was the same exhibition that Grenade launched the business that year, which is the healthy bars, the carb killer bars. Yeah. You've got Gymshark that launched in the same year, the massive global clothing company. And they all started at that sort of 2012, which is when GSN started 2012.
When was Instagram invented?
After that.
Is this some kind of quiz?
No, like I'm just thinking,
when was Instagram
when
invented?
did the visual social media start? Because while people talk about health, there's an element of which that it's all about, you know, the vanity. Where did vanity become comfortable? And that must Facebook, these sort of taking pictures of yourself. I mean,
the YouTube sort of models and the
YouTube's 2006, I think.
Kind of that's where Gymshark saw their success. Yeah. They were the first company to ever invest in their YouTube ambassadors, and I think that is when everyone then started to be more comfortable with the tops off and become the fitness models and be paid to be fitness models. But before that,
2010 Instagram,
nothing was ever. No one ever was really paid to be the influencer type. But that's sort of from 2010, I suppose, onwards, when you could earn money out of YouTube, that's when the generation shifted.
But there's something in here. Your focus is on health, and also there's a kind of, for me, quite an urban vibe to this, that it's like, don't have time, you know, get it out the freezer, you know, the reality of life. You know, a lot of it is like, well, you should cook. Some people cook, some people don't cook, some people enjoy it, some people don't.
Hello, fucking fresh.
Yeah. Where are you on the, why is that important to you?
So when we first started, the university scene, the students, the first idea of GSM was to sell back to students.
So this is why you were still at university?
So while I was at uni, like my flatmate, she didn't know how to cook beans on toast. She could not cook a single thing. And that wasn't uncommon. A lot of the students couldn't cook. So everyone was just down Sainsbury's, and they'd always order takeaways, they'd order ready meals, and that was the only thing that they ate. So having spent a year there and then working for the family business for a year, which my dad was a meat trader.
No way.
Sort of, but commodity trading, so bacon, sausages mainly. So we tried to do a few things together there, and that was what inspired GSN. Was sort of, I was introduced to steam cooked chicken for the first time ever.
Bacon and sausages is what inspired this healthy business.
So that's his business. And
brilliant.
And he took me to a restaurant, and it's a Chinese restaurant that was really excited to show me this steam cooked chicken, or more my dad. And he was just telling us how much time he could save on using the steam cooked chicken instead of buying the fresh and cooking it on site. So, but he was doing some taste tests next to me.
Steam cooked chicken? You can steam cook chicken, so what?
So it was already so we'd buy it in ready steam cooked as a restaurant. So they would just
warm it
in the back kitchens. Through the wok, you were saving 10-15 minutes every time, because you didn't need to cook.
Yeah, because you don't have to cook the chicken all the way through. It's already done.
And this concept was like just genius for me. And I was thinking, I want to cook chicken every day, but I can never be bothered. Or you end up overcooking it because you're scared of the salmonella or undercooking it. So I started using this chicken, and then I teased it to a few local gyms. They absolutely loved the concept. Teased it to a few more friends. They loved it. And then...
But you used the chicken how? You're just selling steamed chicken?
So I had the chicken.
Or you were using it as in you were eating it every day?
I was eating it, buying it from this restaurant. And then I sort of understood it, wanted to look at the declaration really and sort of how healthy it was and sort of what was in there. The deck he was using was sort of a bit more full of water.
What were they doing? Was it just like a sous vide? Or?
It's like injected steamed, but they were having it was a lot more water and
injected
so it's like injected, it's steamed. The full process is I won't bore you with it.
Oh, is it complex? It's not just stick them in a steamed chicken. I mean, I steam chicken, it's more complex than that.
Yeah, there is a bit more complexity to it. So anyway, the steamed with chicken was what inspired the idea of GSN. So I searched and found like a clean deck. So it was just chicken, water, salt, because I didn't want to sort of advertise and start GSN as one that was pushing numbers and additives and everything else. So we wanted it to be clean and healthy.
In it, but chicken.
Just chicken. So I bought some gold bags, came up with a name, Gold Standard Nutrition. Bought some vinyl stickers from a local printer, hand applied them with a ruler and some fairy liquid, and then I would drive the bags to Manchester. They would repack the chicken into the gold bags, and then I'd drive off in what I bought.
What's a gold bag?
It was just a gold pouch.
A bag that's gold.
Oh, right.
So just something we bought, and then that was what's inspired Gold Standard Nutrition. It was the first gold bags, and it was the gold chicken, and I wasn't sure how far it would go, and everything's escalated from there, really.
People love a bit of gold.
You were effectively... repackaging a product that was already on the market, but it was a B2B product and you were doing it B2C.
Yeah, and I think that was what, seeing how my dad traded and what restaurants and the tricks that sort of restaurants used, the general public would never be aware of that, and it wasn't common knowledge to be able to use that. So I wanted to introduce the trade secrets to the public, really. And
so it sounds like it's going quite well. What the hell happened?
When did you start again? So you crashed in when?
I want to know what happened, how the crash happened.
Yeah.
That's the bit.
So we bought the Tesco truck. I drove 12 to 15 hours a day up and down the M62. The Tesco truck was still de-restricted at 56 miles an hour.
You bought a Tesco truck. Tesco have got their own trucks.
So Tesco's can only drive it up to a certain mileage and then it's decommissioned. So we bought one that was decommissioned.
An old Tesco truck, right?
We branded it up GSN, and then that was my
painted it gold.
That was my battle bus. It wasn't gold actually; it was black. But
Mr. Trick there.
We then, basically, the middle compartment was filled with freezers, and the back was filled with the chicken. And then I would drive the country, drop into any spit and sawdust independent gym, selling the dream of steam cooked chicken, try and place the freezer while we're there. And I did that for a couple of years and got us up to 80 stockists around the country. And that was basically my milk round. So I'd drive
you were effectively selling the freezer as well as the chicken.
You got a heavy goods license to drive the truck, I guess, did you?
No, just a standard van license on my drivers. So, because the gyms wouldn't have any way of storing the product.
So you're selling them the storage.
So we had to basically build the concession a little bit inside of the gyms. And independent gyms were struggling to compete with chain gyms and what they could offer as a point of difference. So being able to offer food on site was something that they thought was a really, really clever sort of initiative. And they were able to earn decent money out of selling and upselling the chicken, but then that evolved into ready meals and more frozen products. So to go into your question about where did it go wrong, we were, in order to get these concepts off the ground, we were allowing gyms credit terms.
Right.
And paying them on 30 days. And the gyms, unfortunately, weren't true to sort of some of the credit terms and weren't paying on 30 days, and we could only bankroll it for so long. There was that coupled with there was a competitor that wanted a piece of sort of what we'd created over 3 years. So they approached one of our staff, unfortunately, and then they were able to sort of open a black book of where our best accounts were. And it was kind of we're bigger than you. I'm only 23. Can I survive this fight, or shall I join them and sort of work with them in synergy? And we tried to do that for a little bit.
Oh man, you shouldn't have just
that's a regret of mine that I will probably get on, that I should have backed myself more, but and that's something that I don't think would happen again. There'd definitely be a lot more faith and sort of belief in sort of what we're doing.
But it sounds like the dreaded cash flow was the problem.
The cash flow was the main thing, and it was, we can't bankroll this and compete with a juggernaut. And
were you looking after your cash flow? Did you have accounting or bookkeeping, or what were you doing?
Yeah, we were.
Credit control sounds like a problem.
There was a bit of that. It was a very small team. It was myself, my father, and one other at that time. So we were sort of accounting ourselves and just trying to
Was your dad like, did they want any sausages? No, no sausages. You sure? You check?
I've got some bacon in the back.
Some fucking bacon in the back. They love that.
Yeah.
He's like me. He'll be like, what's happened to this young generation steamed chicken? Have they tried sausages?
When I send you some products down, I'll make sure to include some of his bacon and sausages in for you.
Why high protein? What? I get so confused these days. People are like, no carb, high protein, carb, no protein. I don't know. What's the high protein? That's about training, bodybuilding, or?
Yeah, it was just the replenishment of muscles. So like when you need protein to live, to sort of fix your body to sort of.
But is that partly, when it says high protein, my brain also thinks low carb? Is that what it's trying to do? Is low carb important? No, plenty of carbs?
No, it completely depends on sort of how active you are as an individual, what your aims and goals are. And, if carbs aren't the enemy by any means, like you should be able to eat carbs. And there's a lot of really, really confusing
Even
information.
how you're talking, like this is how all the young people talk now. It's like your aims and goals for,
you really make yourself sound like you're 103.
I fucking must be. And people are like, well, I'm working on my left tricep and my aim is to like rebuild my second. My aims and goals, I'm reducing my. D talks
I
a bit
was
like
going to
this.
say you're describing D.
Yeah, but D's got that fitness bug. But it's fascinating to me. It's like, aren't the aims and goals supposed to be like, I don't know, do something useful with the other? I mean, health is important. Why
isn't that useful? I mean, we all do ridiculous shit with our lives all the time. I mean, it's no worse or better than the fact that, when I was growing up, every woman I know spent her entire life dieting. That's all you did. Like, that was just a thing.
Still the thing.
I can't, as may be evident, I can't be fucking bothered.
Yeah.
But it wasn't about health. It was just about, I want to be a stick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think as sort of foods developed over the years, and convenience took over, the convenient options were always unhealthy. So the McDonald's, the fast foods, the takeaways, everything. So that's where people went. But now with sort of more focus on being more healthier options, that's where the likes of GSN are offering something that is as affordable as a McDonald's, but it's also healthy for you and can be ready in 6 minutes. But 10 years ago, there wasn't anything in the market.
This is freezer to microwave boom, is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
but what, do you try and avoid the preservatives? That's why it's in the freezer.
Yeah. So there's a few reasons we want to go like frozen route. Is so that the economies of scale when we're making the product, that there's zero waste. That we can offer flavors all year round. We offer sort of 20 different flavors, and we've always found that sort of frozen is as good as fresh when it comes to sort of ready. When it comes
Don't
to ready
you lose
meals.
a bit of nutrition when things get frozen and then unfrozen? And isn't that like a problem or not?
No, a lot of this. It sounds ridiculous, but a lot of the freshest veg is frozen. So
True.
if you look at like the bird's eye, would always push that.
Bird's eye patty
So
bar.
we go through a process of blast freezing. So it's like it goes through an instant freeze. So yeah, it's preserved in its freshest state.
Customer base changed, or is it still predominantly kind of gyms and the customers of gyms?
We went through 8 or 9 years of being more gym focused. And then we had like a shift where we wanted to go through a rebrand and change goals and nutrition to GSN, change like the colors, change the imagery of GSN, completely new website. That's everything that went with the rebrand. And that was to open up the market really to be more, because we were seeing people, women that didn't train, men that didn't train, we were supplying the Royal Marines, were supplying police force, we were supplying a garage or a coffee shop. It wasn't all gyms anymore. So we needed to sort of align the business to make sure it suited to the different demographic that we were now selling to. And we wanted to open up healthy into not be something like you've described, like just if you go to the gym, it helps that you want to be eating healthy because you just sort of like,
Sort of goes in a circle.
Yeah, but I mean, if you don't gym, then you should still be eating healthy. So what we're trying to do is open up that ready meal market and the healthy eating to just being a nice balanced lifestyle. We all want to go out for beers. We all want to have a good time, but you need to find balance in sort of in your days. And
but the good times in the gym now. I mean, the other things that I find amusing is everyone's got massive muscles now, which is built with protein, and protein is a really expensive resource. And like, you know, I joke like, what are the big muscles for? Like, when, like, are we going to one day have to flip a bus over? And like, thank fuck we had 27 bodybuilders nearby because we never would have got the bus turned over. Same as people who learn kung fu their whole life, never have a fight. It's like, you know, kung fu makes sense because, you know, there's that mind body thing, whatever. But the amount of spare muscle that must be knocking around that's, you know, from animal or plant protein, which is a very heavy thing to produce. So I think I find that really strange too. It's like, what is the interest in building muscle? Anyway, let's move on.
But that's also protein. I mean, maybe we should be farming these people.
We should be farming them. That's it. Well, or saying there's a limit to your muscles. Well, you've got a bit of spare muscle there. I'll get a surgeon to take a piece off. Well done, you. You can start again.
Involved in it.
Anyway, don't worry. We'll edit this out. The interesting thing I thought, I thought a really interesting piece was, it's like sort of, you know, we must stop eating animals so we can have all these big muscles. Anyway, but that you failed and it really changed you as a person. Why did you carry on? Are you just that sort of nature? You're just a stubborn bugger. You're like, this is not fucking happening. Where's the drive? Where's it from?
I couldn't accept that there was 3 years of my everything that was just going to go down the...
And you failed after 3 years. That's quite an early curve. Mm-hmm. So it's actually at a start. You're almost in the startup phase still of the business.
And you're 20-something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 23, 24 at the time. And we had a very straight conversation with my dad. My dad
said, come on, son, we're going to sell sausages.
It was that, look, we're not putting any more money in. If you do this, we're starting again. And I was willing to do that. So at 23, 24, I was making the 6 members of staff that we had redundant, which was probably horrible. The worst day I've ever had of GSN. And then who's still working with us now, I selected Ian, who's actually our operations director and one of the new shareholders in the new business. Me and him sort of agreed that we could do this again, and we were going to start again and start.
And that's when you started doing meals rather than just chicken, or
we were still doing meals, but we wanted to. We were ready to sort of just do it where the gyms had to pay up front. There was a few definite changes that if we were going to do it again, we've learned from what we've done.
You could get a gym to pay up front for this.
Yeah, there was some that didn't want to, but a lot of it was. I think you referenced before. It was, but like just trying something, believing. What seems unbelievable, but we've proven that GSM was now successful in gyms. So going back to the gyms was able to say, look, we've got all these case studies now. We can definitely earn you this much money per year. So you need to put your hand in your pocket for your first £400 or £500 rather than that being on me. So
opening
and
order.
How you said you selected Ian? How did you?
When I say selected, Ian was already working with us, and Ian had the skills that probably I didn't have. And me and him as a combo were the two best suited to sort of restart GSN. So Ian looks after all the operations. He's a great nutritionist. He's a big foodie like me. So with that skill set and sort of the skill sets I was able to bring to GSN, it was well suited to sort of get going again.
Okay, and then within this. I mean, this sort of attention to detail and running out of cash. So the original funding, that was your old man and stuff, was it? Family money.
Yeah, he helped fund the first 10 freezers that we bought from the London Olympics and helped sort of front up a little bit of like my sort of monthly outgoings. So it was definitely we wouldn't have been able to start without that initial funding from the family. But it's one that has never then had any further injections in GSN. It's all been organic since.
Organic since? You've never received funding since?
Never had a penny from anyone.
And you've got to a turnover of 7 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And that's still from gyms, or that's everywhere, or?
Yeah, so the turnover we've hit last year was 6 million, 6.5 million. So it's all through e-com sales, wholesale sales. So there's no retail in there at the moment. We have sold to retailers, but that's just B2B, B2C. So we're now supplying, there's 450 independent stockists around the UK. So like I said, that can go from a police station to a chain gym, an independent gym. It might be we'd supply like the Royal Marine Barracks. We supply garage forecourts, coffee shops, some larger corporates where we'd feed pick and pack houses where we're the main supplier into their frozen vending machines. The brand's gone into lots of different directions. So we're trying to concentrate on being a brand that stands for like healthy frozen. And
how'd you come up with the recipes? With the manufacturer, or do you have a chef, or how'd you come up with the recipes?
A lot of the time, I get asked this quite a lot. Of it's having a sort of finger on the pulse of what's coming into sort of fashion, what's on trend, and like on the way here, you were walking through Soho. You having a look through some of the street markets, having a look what's popular on Deliveroo, having a look at what's popular through restaurants, and then how can you take what the customers are looking for, but then put it through a healthy twist. So our absolute best seller is our katsu chicken. So the chicken would be hand breadcrumbed here in the UK, fried off in the UK. We make the sauce on site, we make the rice on site, and we recreate like a restaurant quality ready meal that's ready in 6 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, chicken katsu is always a winner. And the story of that is hilarious, chicken katsu. The Japanese got taught how to make curry by the British, and then he had the local ingredients. So that's why you get this like weird, like I think there's something odd like banana in it or something. Okay, cool.
What do you think the biggest problem facing, the industry is?
Yeah, well, I think it's the supply chain and the inflation. Like since COVID and the war in Ukraine, it's been difficult to sort of manage the stock, manage timelines. So the card, for instance, that we use for our pots, that went from a 6-week turnaround to a 20-week turnaround, and you're having to sort of forward forecast 20 weeks, which is near on impossible to get right.
Is your packaging cardboard?
Yeah. So we want to
even the internal bit is cardboard.
So it's cardboard with a very small sort of lamination on the outside that we're working with the mills at the moment to try and make it sort of 100% recyclable, but it's as close to sort of being plastic free as you can possibly make it. Plastic's
pretty good at packaging. I mean, that's the problem for us. We've seen that with straws, haven't we? As our
there's pros. I'll show you some of the packaging. It's a concept that we wanted to recreate something that looked like a Chinese style takeaway box. So you remember like the noodle boxes.
Yeah.
So we branded them.
You always see in US films.
Yeah, exactly. So we were like, can we take that concept, be a bit different to everybody else so that GSN stands out, and then people can eat on the go.
Well, you can eat to hold it is the good thing about that American style.
Yeah, it's not that kind of plastic tray.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what it is. You can eat one-handed. You can throw there's no washing up.
You could run. You could be in the gym. You could do a bit of this at the same time.
In terms of what's most difficult, it is the supply chain and the constant inflation. So we're trying to offer affordable, healthy eating. And when one of our most popular flavors was a pulled beef Sunday dinner. I know you wouldn't think to microwave a Sunday dinner, but it was really, really good. But then beef went from £5.50, £6 a kilo to £12 a kilo. And it was just impossible to sort of work into the pricing. So
you would rather not have that particular SKU than charge.
You don't you just cut the volume a bit? That's what everything's got smaller recently.
No, we've tried to always sort of stay true. There's tricks that you'd find a lot of supermarket brands would have to sort of minimize the size or take ingredients out. Our price point is $3.99 per meal, but then the more you buy in the bundle sizes, it comes down. So we have to manage the average price of per meal so that we can offer 30, 60 bundles or 15, like 14 pot bundles.
That's your retail price or your wholesale? That's your retail price.
Retail price, yeah.
Yeah.
So
they're cheap then, aren't they? Package. If I go to M&S and I buy a package meal, it's quite a lot of money, isn't it? It's like £8 or something, isn't it?
In comparison to a fresh alternative, yeah, you're looking at M&S would be about £5.50, £6 for a fresh like katsu chicken.
Yeah.
But you got your fresh meal prep companies that would be £7-8. But what we're trying to do is sort of promote the frozen, because we can make tens of thousands a day through the factory, and we're benefiting from that economy of scale. So it doesn't mean that you're sacrificing flavour or any quality because you're selling it at that price. It just means that we're able to make thousands at a time, and it eats as good as the fresh, if not better, in my opinion. But it just means that we can sell it cheaper.
Yeah. Okay. And have you got? Have we discussed what was your long-term goal? Have you got a sort of over the hills and the rainbow?
Yeah. There is that where you want it to be like an international brand, but I've not got there yet. We've started dabbling a little bit into Ireland, where we've got like 20 plus stockies in Ireland, but it's been a headache, a massive headache already. So I don't really look.
Why?
The sort of even taking things over to Ireland, you think
it's
it's
in
pretty,
Europe
exactly,
now.
yeah. So
Great.
the paperwork involved and the sort of extra expenses involved,
Frozen
it's
lorry.
just been.
I mean, not the lorry frozen.
It's been difficult. And a learning curve that we wanted to see how. Let's try Ireland to see if Ireland should be the easiest of exports, if any. So then, if at least then when we learn what's right and wrong.
You manufacture in the UK, so in theory, you should be able to get zero duty between here and Europe.
So you have to vet every batch and every product going over. So someone has to come in and then go through. So that becomes a problem. The extra charges that the couriers are putting on.
Do you do every product? I thought you go for a certificate of origin. You go to your local council and you slightly. How do you prove it? What, everyone's got to come in and check every batch is made here? Is it?
Depends on obviously what you're selling. There can be strictness on different
You're
ingredients.
selling food. You need a vet going into Europe and stuff like that. A vet has to inspect the food, which I always thought, what the fuck has a vet got to know about dead food? You know what I mean? Like, really?
That they didn't do their job very well.
Yeah, I mean, they know about live animals. Why are they checking dead food? But that's a vet. I've bumped into this. A vet has to check food, don't they? They have to sign off. Oh yeah, this product's beef is beef or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just that it is what you're saying that it is, and where it come from. Because then there's you're only allowed to export a certain amount of products of one origin, and it's just how it's all controlled. It becomes a bit of a beast, and it's something that we've
much easier to import to America. I'm not sure about food, but most things you can get into America. It's only once you start getting any scale.
I think food's tricky.
Maybe food's tricky.
Yeah, when we look at how we stand against like the clothing companies or the supplement companies, the powders, all the ambient goods. It's a hell of a lot easier to trade ambient goods than it is frozen.
And the UK is not it's not massive, but it's not tiny as a market either. If you're a dominant player here, that can be enough.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Brexit really did stick one on you. Really, you're in exactly the sort of industry that has Brexit affected business? Damn right. If you do something like you do, you've illustrated it there because everyone go, well, there's a free trade treaty, you can ship. And it's like, but from the Europeans' perspective, we're now importing non-European goods, which by the way, one of Europe's major things is agriculture, and they're quite protective about it, and they don't really want everyone coming in selling their food and drink, the French and stuff that, the way duty levies are set and everything. Anyway, that's interesting.
So yeah, the end goal for GSN at the moment is we're 12 years on, but we only really look 12 months ahead because everything changes so quickly. So we have got sort of pipe dreams, but we're really looking at what could we achieve this year and then better it the year after.
Gold packaging. Is that gone completely? I like the gold packaging.
No, the original steam cut chicken we've always kept in gold, and that's will always remain to be gold. People have tried to talk me out of it, but it'll always remain to be gold.
Don't let them talk you out of it.
How much staff how many people do you have now?
So we have 7 full-time in the office, but what we did and what we'd learned from the first 3 years, I wanted to always keep the overheads as small as possible. So we bring in external third-party consultants instead. So they would be the specialists in the paid social and PPC, and some design work is outsourced. The pick and pack is outsourced. The manufacturing is outsourced, so that that our overhead is as streamlined as it possibly can be. So that, God forbid, if we had another episode, that at least we know that the turn off's quite easy, and there's affordability there to keep paying the staff, and I wouldn't need to go through any more redundancies. That's something that
scarred you.
Definitely has scarred me, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible making people redundant.
Yeah, it's something I don't want to ever do again.
But it might be the right thing to do again. Is in sometimes you have to close a division or an idea or a department or something like that. It's sort of it's part of life, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But one thing we've tried to do not necessarily the right way, but what we've tried to promote within as well. So before we hire somebody new, we already know what we're getting from that one person. So Becca came in with like customer service. She's now head of wholesale, and it was that everything can be taught in a role, and it was more, have you got the right energy? Have you got the right?
Do you go to the gym? Does everybody in your office go to the gym?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
In the office, by the sound of it.
Yeah, so we encourage, everyone has different, there's people that have done Ironman, there's people that just train, that just like don't train very hard.
A pie eating pipe smoker like on the phone. Oh yeah, fucking lovely. I have 12. Yeah, okay, cool. And we talked about how you feel you fucked up, I guess. Is your dad still involved in the business?
Yeah, he's still involved. So he's an equal shareholder of me in the business. We check in with him like every month or so, but he's not involved in like the day-to-day.
Was it hard working with your dad? Sorry, interrupting.
It was at the start, yeah, I'd say, because you needed to sort of answer to like my dad and like pass everything by.
And then it got to a point.
So. It was his money initially, so I needed to make sure that obviously that was justified. But as we've established relationships with the manufacturers and the pick and pack houses that he's helped with, once it became building a brand, that was more where his expertise sort of didn't exist, and it was more where I would sort of take the brand forward. So, he's a commodity trader and a very good one, but like not a person that's built a brand. So it was more what I think has been a big learning curve and has taken us a long time to get there is understanding how to build a brand and the networking that doesn't exist up north. Like it's not like London Central. There is no go around the corner and talk business after work. There is no real socialization.
I mean, we do that all the time, don't we?
I mean, let's talk about that a little bit. How do you find it different up north? I mean, people don't talk to each other that much here, but there's more going on. I guess it's a bigger cluster.
There's probably more. I suppose the thing about London is if you wanted to, you could throw a stone and find a networking event of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, there's no conferences, no networking events. Yeah. There's not really the expertise of anyone that's done it before. The colleges and universities local to us don't necessarily specialise in some of the things that we're looking for.
Really? So that's in brand building or in the food industry. I mean, there must be loads of food companies up north and stuff.
Yeah, food companies, but like when we're looking for you're like designers that can work remotely, but it's hard to find good designers. It's hard
graphic
to find
graphic
designers, hard to find good marketeers. It's hard to find people that one of the hardest positions we tried to fill was that just as customer service, someone that we can find that was just passionate about food and about it can be about GSM, and it was quite difficult to fill that position. Bringing in marketing expertise. I actually headhunted the guy that I went to uni with. So we've always kept in contact with each other. Sort of want to be best friends, Neil.
Big up, Neil.
I always knew he would be right for the business, but we couldn't afford him sort of back then. So we were sort of getting to a point where we'd try and work with him a little on a certain scale. And then when it got to a point where it could afford Neil, I convinced him to move up from Harpenden.
We've got a gym in the office.
So he was enjoying Harpenden and sort of everything that came with Harpenden. But then now he lives in sunny Selby. So
I guess that's the point, which is it's hard to hire people anywhere. There is a talent pool in London for sure. The bright lights of the big city when people are young. I mean, in COVID, everyone's like, no one's going to live in cities anymore. And I'm like, well, they fucking are if they're 21 and they're trying to find a mate. I'm being biological about it, but there's a sort of, there's like, you want to go out and, yes, you're partying and having a good time, but you're often looking for your partner and stuff like this. Mm-hmm. So, it's attractive and it's fun and exciting. So,
but if you want to buy a house, you probably need to move.
But it's harder in Selby to say.
Up north, really, really good.
Up north, there's fantastic towns, and my brother-in-law lives in Hull and stuff. But as you say, they're all just very nice places. It's quite green, it's pretty, or it's just a little village, or it's a town. It's sort of.
And I think if we'd have lived, if GSM was born in London, we probably would have been. There would have been access to more funding or opportunities for funding or quicker growth because of the conversations we would be able to have in the networking events. But up north, it was kind of you're on your own, figure it out.
Also, I think you might be attributing a bit too much kind of
to the north-south.
amazingness to networking events, because most of them are pretty shit.
Most of them are shit. Interesting,
and,
though.
You just make stupid conversation with people and you don't.
Well, me and Pippa do. We learned something earlier today, didn't we? Off big up Philip Hare, who's the sort of one of the, if not the leading expert on EIS, Enterprise Investment Scheme, if you've ever heard of it, which is what most companies you do to raise money. You get 30, 50% back. But he was saying there's a time limit on that, which is 3 years in the really attractive one and 7 years or 7 or 10 years, depends. But on the also pretty attractive one. And he said he's got the statistics to prove it, that up north businesses grow slower and it takes longer. So basically there's a time limit in which you have to receive this investment from someone and they get a lot of money back. And it's harder for businesses up north because it takes them longer to get to that point. In the UK, people are seeking in the southeast, people are seeking investment after 3 years. Up north, they might not be seeking investment till 7 years, when they're at the timeline. But he's got the stats to prove it. You're just mentioning it earlier. And I thought, that's a really interesting point, that things grow slower up north. And, therefore, it's a little bit what you're saying. It's sort of, I would say almost at the same time, it's like, you get this in bands and music too. It's like it's easier to die quickly in London too, because it's so competitive and it's so expensive and it's so like
there's a little bit more room to move.
Yeah, up north you could get something going. You get a few gyms going. Your costs of living are lower. Also, your staff can be stickier in a way, because when you're in this sort of cluster where everyone's just changing jobs, and so you found someone talented. Now imagine in Selby there's 100 people who are like, I want him. I'll offer him more. And you'd be like, fucking hell, I just got in the mood to Selby and he's gone. I mean, that happens in reality in London. You sort of get someone to join your business, even sometimes we sometimes get people to move down from up north. And then it's like, well, other people start going after them. So there's some interesting pushes and pull, but I'm very interested in the north-south divide, as they say. I mean, is there any advice you would give to businesses up north in regard to, your experience, and is it important? I mean, do you have a foothold down here? Does it matter? Fuck it,
We recently hired a new business development manager that's based in London, because our biggest online presence is London for ordering online. Be like B2C, but B2B we're not very well established in London centre. But the B2C. So we're looking at how, and his concentration is to sort of build that awareness of GSN inside the gyms, but also sort of inside. We're talking to lots of different businesses about how we can sort of offer them the corporate health, and looking at the workplace diet and how people can eat healthier when they are working. We're about to launch with one of the delivery apps, and now you can have like a meal, a GSM sort of bundle delivered within half an hour or whatever the turnaround times are. So if we can have the local pickup,
it makes sense. There's so many food options in London and so many delivery options.
I've got clients who kind of like started as your basic kind of fast food kind of takeaway. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them have kind of ended up closing the kind of physical shops because it's expensive, because you need to get a lease
dark
and you need to pay. And they all have dark kitchens, and they'll have like 5 different kind of brands that they're just, one's a Chinese, one's a Mexican, one's a Korean.
I went round one at Deliveroo. It was
a really good idea.
It was impressive to see that there's just these tiny kitchens, but 4 or 5 in a row, and they were just churning out meals constantly, all day. Yeah.
Well, I think of our office in Slough. I mean, anyone who knows anything about Slough, well, they're probably already laughing, but Slough has been decimated in terms of the high street.
There is really nowhere to get lunch.
Now there's nowhere. There used to be an M&S, gone. There used to be, but it's partly because all of the massive old shopping centres have been bought by a Qatar group or something, who are arguing with the council about what they're allowed to build, and the years tick past. But we're thinking as a business, because you get this in when you go up to Iceland and you go to the Nordics, they have to build their offices to have a place. They usually have a band room to play music. They'll have food provided. They might have a gym. They'll have a yoga room. It's all in kind of one building. And you make me think in our office in Slough, we've always thought Do we get a chef? Can we provide some basic, food each day for people, and I could imagine you might be a solution. The thing you have to, in my mind, you think, okay, well, we'll slam a load of those in the freezer and we'll say, help yourself and stick it, there's a microwave next to it. There's something about a microwave that doesn't represent health, though. It's a weird, little bit of your branding. I don't know if it's a problem ever that microwaves are sort of regarded as sort of unhealthy or
I think, yeah, I see.
Yeah.
We've heard that, and we get put. There's we find very little evidence to sort of show that a microwave is killing any of the nutrition inside of the meals.
Historically, people are so they associate microwaves with that kind of old-fashioned fast food package, where
crap.
you stick.
It got launched as the solution to everything, and then people worked out it didn't make anything crispy and everything. And if you put bread in it, it ruins it or whatever. Yep. And then it ended up with you can put popcorn in it, and you can do I don't know, it's a pot noodle.
Any ready meal.
I think ready meals definitely got a bad rep through microwaves because typically they were just high salt, loads of sauce, loads of calories and very little nutritional value. They weren't very good for you, but they just served a purpose of.
You're really making me want macaroni and cheese now.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the microwave and frozen is going through a bit of an evolution when you just have to see how many sort of brands are now sort of pushing that.
I guess too, people make their own dinner and then they come in a microwave at lunch, or I microwave I don't think that's unhealthy. I know what I cooked in it.
Yep.
And actually microwaving is a very clean type of cooking. It's putting energy into the water particles, and it shouldn't be an unhealthy thing to do. But it's an interesting thought. I can see why you've ended up with your fingers in lots of strange places, because you're solving quite a sort of particular need, and you can see something going, well, I'm thinking about a slough. It's just actually that might be an interesting thing to do, to say, maybe we give it a try with you and say, look, we're going to put X amount of meals in the fridge. If you want one, whatever,
Yeah, we were fortunate to sort of get involved early with the NHS
oh my God, my wife works in it, and they shut all the kitchens. When she started, there used to be a kitchen, then cost saving it went.
Yep.
And then what you ask her, she will do a 16-hour shift, and you ask them what they eat. They eat biscuits.
Crisps and biscuits,
which
is criminal, isn't it?
I'm because I was like, can't you guys get Pret to come in and just deliver food? So because they can't do a delivery app because there's nowhere to deliver. And I'm like, can't you just fucking say you create a plate? And they were like, no, and we're busy with people fucking dying. I can't say, oh, I'm just going for a sandwich, but it's criminal what's happened to them, because it must be affecting them so much. Sorry.
Yeah, no, so I think on the back of Feed the NHS and sort of that whole, there was that whole project. There's been companies that have set up micro markets and frozen vending machines that go into the NHS, and we're one of the providers of the healthy ready meals that go into the NHS hospitals. And the feedback's been really, really strong. But they're the environments that we want GSN to.
Because 6 minutes is even long, but it's just about quick enough. Because the breaks they get to eat
6
are
minutes
insane.
In a typical microwave. But if you were buying a microwave that was a 2,000 watt microwave, it's 3.5 minutes. So
right.
There is ways to quicken up.
No,
that
6 minutes is quick enough. I just know how quick small. Then that was the canteen. They literally run.
Yeah.
She said, to be honest, they would serve shit. It's chips, beans, whatever. But great. Best advice you ever had?
I've always never been afraid to ask a question, never to be seen to be thinking that's going to be a dumb question. I don't understand it.
The question is too stupid.
Yeah, and I think being able to ask that and be brave enough to ask it in all different ways. Like when we'd go into a gym, I'm 20 years old, and the guy's 6'5", massive, and it's quite a scary sort of cold call going in there, and they've got to be convinced by.
God, I hadn't thought about that. You've got a sort of physical
intimidation. What they should be eating.
So lorry, a bus over.
Yeah, flip a bus over.
Distracting them with your meals.
So trying to sell the dream to this guy who's very cold off the cuff, and you've got to find a common ground, got to open up that conversation, and that's going straight in and just making a bit of a relationship. But when we've got that relationship, it's right, who can you introduce me to? Who do you know? And it's just sieving as much information from that person as you can, and they actually end up wanting to help you because you've built a bit of rapport with them. And I think that's what GSN has been built on, is just been the refer a friend, and that's the way the organic growth has got us to where we are. So it's just real people buying from real people.
You have a gentle manner and you're passionate about your business, and the British don't do well with someone coming in, I've got this gold chicken, it's fucking amazing. Like, you know, we don't, we're like, get out. No, but if you soft sell, like very gentle, I can imagine people working and getting curious. You know, we're a strange bunch to sell to.
Yeah,
the Brits
definitely can be difficult. So yeah, I definitely found that was just not be too forceful. And if they don't like it, I'm going to leave it with them and I'm going to pick it up in a couple of weeks' time. Of like, and once they've actually tried it, because, you know, and usually the tunes change by then. And then I think, like, not just the chicken, now the ready meals, people might have a misconception that a ready meal isn't healthy and it can't be good and it can't taste good. So if you just give them one to try.
Let them try it. Invite them around to dinner and then tell them it was a ready meal. But it's true. It's like asking you, it sounds like you sort of go in and ask questions and be like, oh, what do you do for food? And, you know, and we love an underdog in Britain. So if we feel that you're sort of being humble, then we get curious, you know.
I don't know why I do it, but I've never tell people that I own GSN. And when I go into a gym, it's almost, I'm acting like I'm working for GSN and they've got the guards down, and
maybe your guard's down too.
Yeah, I think so.
Because you don't, if they say, "Oh, fuck off," you don't feel too embarrassed that it's your personally rejected. You're
but
just
then when
like,
they say, "So how long have you worked for GSN?" and they explain the story, and they were like, "Bloody hell!" and then they're actually friendly to you, and even they go over and above to sort of be. So yeah, it's an approach I've definitely found worked for me.
Well, my dad sells sausages. He's outside in the van too, actually. You know.
What's the worst advice you've ever been given?
That, yeah, GSN, there's no future in GSN. I think that was sort of back when it was there. My dad was looking at it from a financial point of view, but it was also sort of like some sort of people that had sort of come in and try and mentor GSN. And they were all in agreement that GSN was never going to be sort of much more than a lifestyle business, and like at best, where it would pay
Come
me.
on, 10 years ago, older generation selling chicken in gold bags in gyms. I mean, they must have thought you were bonkers.
Yeah,
you know.
And I think if that was where it was only going to go, that's why I said there's no 3 to 5 year.
Crying out for, you know, being able to expand it and grow
I think,
because it's not, you know, most lifestyle businesses they have to be, because it's kind of a service that somebody's providing and they can only do so much.
We've got so many different directions we can take it, and I think that is.
Whereas it's a frozen food, you can, as you say, produce, you know, huge quantities and keep it. You could go really big.
That's the idea, and we're just seeing how it goes right now.
Survivalism. In fact, the best thing that could happen to you is a nuclear threat, which is coming with Russia.
There we go.
That would be off the charts,
Some
wouldn't
bunkers.
it? How long's the long term? I mean, you could keep it in the freezer forever, really, couldn't you?
It's 18 months from sort of manufacture of like what your best before dates are, but you can keep them longer.
When in the nuclear winter, you're probably not that worried about best before dates.
No, but you are worried about salmonella, especially with the lack of toilet roll in these situations.
I mean, that is the slight issue is, you know, where you're getting the energy to heat the freezer.
Listen, there are quite a lot of problems with us designing something that's going to last 20 years. Anyway.
Generator, you need your own generator and certain power.
And what is bullshit in the industry?
Brands that have been given a lot of money with like the fund. I see brands that will go through the funding circle and like they'll splash all the cash for 2 years and then they've gone and they've just created problems for everyone that's tried to do it properly. And then
why do they create problems for everyone?
In just that they would cut a lot of corners, do things cheap just to try and take over the market, lose a lot of money. And, you know, they can't survive on that long term when the investors actually want the money out.
So investment driving short-termism.
Yeah, we've seen competitors come and go where, you know, they've owed us quite a bit of money where we've supplied them raw materials, or they've owed like some of the some huge sort of food service contracts of £500,000, million quid at a time, and they're just able to shut the business the next day and then set it up as a new name the day after. And I think that's sort of something that I found like bullshit in this industry, that just in all industries, but you shouldn't be allowed to do that if you sort of, you know, if you especially...
Sounds like you're describing pre-packs, which is where a company goes into administration and immediately gets bought quite often by quite similar people.
Yep.
Annoyingly, I know you're thinking of a couple of specific people, though. I would love to know who they are.
I'm not naming every name,
But
but if they listen to it, they'll know who they are.
Yeah, okay. Good.
The other thing is, as a brand that's trying to establish, there's a lot of copycat going on, and I think that there should be a duty of retailers and people to sort of give credit to the brands that have actually established a position and a lead in a trend, whereas instead it's just cut them out, cut their margin out, and I'll copy it. And that happens a lot. I know you can't IP food, you can't protect the recipes. So
you can protect the recipes a bit.
You can protect so much of it, but they just have to change a couple of small ingredients. So, we get some of the biggest supermarkets in the country will buy our products monthly and they just wash it out and they're benchmarking ours and there's no way of stopping it.
What do you mean wash it out?
So they're just washing out the product to see how it's sort of put together, what the sources are, and
spinning it and
effectively reverse engineering.
Yeah, reverse engineering the recipes, and we get that all the time. And you then see a brand, a competitor come up 6 months down the line, and it looks a lot like yours, and the flavors a lot like yours, but they've just, rather than approaching us and having that conversation where we might collaborate, they just rather not have the conversation and copy it instead. Which
Luckily,
I think
people like brands.
is difficult,
because there was a period when the supermarkets started copying everything, and I remember because we had clients in food, and there was getting to this point where they were just refusing to stock other people's brands, almost just saying, well, we've got to catch up. And it started going that direction, know. But people attach a lot of value to brands, maybe too much in a way.
Yeah. Sizable brands they do, up and coming challenger brands they don't necessarily. There's been a little bit of a shift and change where Tesco's have ran like an accelerator program recently, and there's some really, really cool brands on there that I'm in WhatsApp group chats with the brand owners, and it's worked really well for them. But it's just like they don't always look after the small brands. If they know that the ready meal is going to serve so many thousands of units per store per week, they'd rather have it in a Tesco own label than a different.
Would you ever, or do you sell to supermarkets at all? Would you ever do that?
Yeah, we've sold to Morrison's. It worked really, really well online, but then COVID happened, and then they stopped picking from a central location and went to store pick, and then buyers changed, and then it wasn't never resurrected. So we're trying to push our way in there again, and we have spoke to lots of retailers that we've done Lidl where that works really well. It was like when it's gone, and it was a great promotion for us. It was like 800 stores and 150,000 meals, and all them new faces and new people with their hands on pack.
Think of northern supermarkets. Booths? Do you have a booths?
Booths where I think. Booths. Yeah, but like you were referencing, in generations, like there is definitely an older shopper that goes into booths. So we present a product into booths to say this isn't for our clientele, even though things are changing. It's not quite caught up well enough yet.
Okay, Craig, welcome to the quick fire round. This is where we're going to ask you a list of questions to get to know you a little better, and you have to answer as quickly as possible.
Okay.
D, cue the music. And Andy's asking the first question eventually.
I was trying to look up this Craig Allen. Why is this name so familiar to me? What was your first job?
JJB, the old sportswear brand. £3.65 an hour I was paid.
Wow.
To stand on your feet all day.
Wow.
What were you doing? Just in the shop?
On the shop floor,
getting people's shoes.
Yeah, exactly. And
sorry, my dog's farted. It happens. We used to think it was the guest, and Dee used to think it was me, and I thought it was
the high protein diet.
The high protein diet.
Yeah, now you say that.
JJBs were like a bit of a revolution. I remember the boss. God, what was his name? Anyway. Next one.
Really, Romeo?
Yeah. Fuck you guys.
It's really Romeo.
It is really. He's been farting all day. I would hold it in.
Something you want to tell
us? I'm in public.
What was your worst job?
I glass collected at a nightclub when I was 16, 17, and that only lasted one night.
Shit.
That was terrible.
Why was that so bad?
Because you were working 8 till 4 in the morning, and the guy gave me 20 quid for it, and I'm pretty sure that was below minimum wage. But and I was squeezing past people all night, being abused all night, and just it wasn't. It
I
wasn't
did
a
that
fun
same
time.
job.
Getting drink thrown over
Didn't
you, like-
go back for a second shift. That was probably the worst.
It's when the training for the job doesn't last very long, you know, you're in the shit. That's a,
Yep.
you know, it's like, well, they're there, and you put them there. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't
Favorite
fun.
subject at school?
PE.
Jesus
Shockingly.
We're going to get to a question. You better have a good fucking answer. Number 10. I want to see some filth coming out of your mouth. Okay, very good.
What's your special skill?
PE.
I would. It's been able to probably play my hand at a bit of everything. So whether that's DIY, if it's just fixing a problem. I'm quite a logical thinker in like if there's a problem, there's no panic. I'll sort of like take a step back, be able to sort of process it, and then figure out a solution pretty quickly. But I wouldn't say I specialise in like one particular area. It's just a bit of trying to be a bit of jack of all trades, a bit of everything.
If there's a problem, hey, I'll solve it. Check out the DJ, let me revolve it. What number are we on?
5.
Is it you? What did you want to be when you grew up? Oh no!
I've
Footballer.
yeah.
Yeah, footballer. You told us that
So
earlier.
I tried. I went through sort of doing the soccer camps, and then played at a decent level at college, and then went to go and try out the England schoolboys. And I looked at the idea of going over to America and doing scholarships over there, and it just wasn't quite good enough. So it was always a pipe dream, but always someone that I knew was going to be pretty difficult. So yeah, I'd always dreamed of being a footballer, but I knew that wasn't going to happen.
Rugby's easier. That's what someone was explaining to me the other day. Like the percentage of people who make it as footballers like being famous in music, whereas in rugby, like you know, you can the competition's less.
I kind of wish I'd have played rugby, but as a family we were never rugby orientated. It was more football, and I never really tried.
It's your dad's
rugby.
fault, basically.
So yeah, blame him.
I mean, there's probably generally less people that play rugby because it tends to be a...
The way I play football
posh
probably
school
suits
thing.
rugby better than football because it's definitely more
Quite violent.
an aggressive football.
What did your parents want you to be when you grew up?
Beacon trader.
So my dad wanted me to take over his business. I was always like the eldest son, and like we're going to sort of like
Have you got
help
siblings?
Yeah, I've got an older sister, younger brother, so I'm middle child. And the idea was that I think like if I was interested, he would love me to take over.
Push the bacon and sausages.
Yeah,
Because Sis was out. She's not going to be a meat trader, probably.
she was never interested.
Sexism in practice.
And I remember having a conversation with my mum in the kitchen, and I got quite upset. I was like, I don't want to work.
I don't want to sell sausages.
I don't want to work in the meat trade. And she laughs about it now. Still, that I'm not quite in the meat trade, but I'm still.
Oh yeah, in the meat trade.
Working in food. So
It's
it's been
Monty
full
Python
circle, really.
sketch. This is, you know. But I don't want to sell sausages all of my life, Dad.
Has your younger brother
So
gone into the biz for your father?
no,
I got stitched up with it. I'm the younger brother.
So yeah,
My elder brother buggered off to America. He lives up a mountain. He has a lovely time.
my brother at the moment is in Bali, just trying to set up a business over there, and he's sending constant pictures on the beach and around the pool and living a lifestyle that's making everyone jealous. But you know, it's
That does sound quite nice.
yeah, we have all do very different things. He's a DJ and sort of he was a recruiter, and then now he's trying to set up his own agency.
What's your sis do?
She's in like a affiliate marketing, and she puts influencers with brands.
That's handy.
So yeah, but they're a bit out of my budget because she places people like Justin Timberlake, and I'm like, I can't afford him.
Sis, can't you like do me a deal?
So yeah, she's just going back on maternity leave. So I'm definitely tapping her up soon.
Can't say tap her up anymore, can you? It's another banned phrase, isn't it? Tap her up for some sausages. What's your go-to karaoke song?
I'm a terrible singer. I've not got any rhythm or beat in my body. Like I can't I can't sort of remember the words.
Do you listen to
songs and
music when you
everything else.
exercise?
Yeah, I listen to music, but if you ask me to sort of clap to a beat, I'm well out of tune. So I tried to sing Wonderwall on an initiation on a football trip once, and it didn't. I was
even the
absolutely
sentence.
terrified, sweating buckets, knowing that I had to sing in front of the girls and the lads in this uni bus Wonderwall, and I knew I couldn't. So I just sat at the back, headphones in, trying to remember all the words, knowing that I'd forget it in the first. So yeah, that was. I'm not very good. I'm not very good at karaoke. I'll be honest.
I love the fact you said if you tried to tell me to keep to a beat, I'd sing out of tune.
Yeah.
I mean that sentence
That's
says
a bad start, like because
That's
the
hilarious.
beat and the tune are different things.
a beat can have anyway.
I think my brother robbed all that.
Office dogs, bearing in mind what's just freaking happened.
When they don't trump.
Office dogs, business or bullshit?
So my dog comes to work with me every day. So
Oh,
I'd have
what
to
dog have
say
you got?
business, a little black pug.
Oh, nice,
Called
man.
Philly. So she's great.
Have you ever been fired?
No, I haven't been fired. I think
I feel there's a but
There's
coming.
definitely a butt coming.
no, I haven't. The jobs I've always left the jobs of like the JGB. I didn't enjoy that. I didn't feel like it was very good.
So if you sort of
Life
saw
meaningful.
a firing coming down the road, you'd exit.
you get out
stage
before.
left.
No, I think the closest to firing is being told that like you're not a good enough footballer, you're not going to make
Yeah.
it. That's sort of as
That's
close
tough.
as sort of like, and then
You almost got
experiencing
fired out your own business, it sounds like.
by my own dad.
Unbelievable. Now wait, you've got to fucking play some serious. This is number 10. This is the big one.
What's your vice?
God.
What did I put? Hold on.
Just
Press ups in the
playing
morning.
doing too much exercise.
That's T's vice. I've overdone it in the gym, lads. My brain stopped working.
Yeah, passing on responsibility is hard. Not that I'm
right.
controlling it, it's just that
This is
But
not the
I'm
answer I'm
controlling.
looking for. This is not the answer I'm looking for, Craig. You know, no,
What
this
do you
is fine. Go on, give this answer.
no, I definitely feel like the delegation and sort of passing on responsibility, I find that hard. So I end up sort of
Letting go.
being half
Switching
involved and
off.
not being involved.
Yeah.
Striking the right balance in sort of work life. So my wife works within GSN, so there is no switch off. So
Oh, wow.
she wants to work when I've come home from work, and then she'll often tap me on the shoulder at 11 o'clock at night, and I'm ready for bed, and she's thought of something that we need to talk about, or at 6 in the morning. So
That's women. That's what they
there's,
do. It's always
it's-
at 11 o'clock at night. I don't know why.
She definitely comes alive at night.
It's the only time
It's
they can
built up.
track
No,
you
they
down.
build up. Every girlfriend, wife, they've all done the same. Apparently, it builds up in them all day, and also you get oxytocin from discussing things or something, and men don't. Builds up. They think, well, I won't bother him. We're just drifting off, and then boom, they
I
come
feel
out with
this
it.
might be more about you than about the women.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've had too many experiments on this.
Unapproachable and difficult to pin down.
Oh, fucking hell! You're just swinging
I know.
today.
That was a good one.
Imagine I said that. That'd be unbelievable. It's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Unapproachable and difficult to ping down, particularly in the bedroom.
I'll wet myself in a minute.
Yeah. Well, at least you've had a sausage. Just the one, though.
Just the one. Just Mr. Lewis's. That's it.
Just Mr. Lewis's sausage. Was it a good sausage?
Yeah, they're delicious.
Oh, God, the sincerity in that. Anyway, brilliant. And top 5 tips for founders or entrepreneurs?
I think we went back to like, don't be afraid to ask a question. Like no questions too stupid. So
I mean, some questions are too stupid, though, aren't they?
No. Don't be afraid to ask it, though.
yeah, I would definitely say that. I said don't trust everyone that you work with. Not everyone's got your best intentions in place. So
Damn
like
straight.
there's a lot of lessons learned on my part where you're a bit too honest on the strategy or what's coming down the line, or telling people a bit too much information. So I've seen it happen a lot now, and I've seen it happen with multiple brands, not just mine. And it's just that not everyone's got your best intentions. Everyone's sort of
So you're slightly saying, which I would agree, careful what you tell the staff in a way. They
Careful what you tell
are,
staff.
they are
But I also
staff.
think what you tell,
it's business.
What you tell customers as well, and like, you don't want to be too open with your staff. There has to be sort of a divide of hierarchy, but you should get on with your staff, but not tell your staff too much. There's been staff that have let you down, but there's also been like customers and manufacturers relationships where you think, this is got a massive future in it, and then they stab you in the back at the first opportunity. So I would say always protect yourself with NDAs and non-competes and where you can protect. I'd hire in people based on who they are as a person rather than a CV, because we've tried to hire CVs.
And how many press-ups they can do, right?
And how many press-ups they can do. Hire more people, because I think you can teach everyone something. And it depends on the rank and what they're specialising in. But for a business like mine, you can teach people pretty quickly on sort of what you need them to know and what you need them to do. So it's more like, does the face fit and are they right for the brand rather than CVs. I would hire based on who they are as a person, how passionate they are, and whether we can get along. Are they going to upset the culture of the business, or are they going to improve it? And I think I would also say, and I'm trying to tell myself this as well, is enjoy the journey, because it was just hustle. And someone actually asked me on the train on the way down, it was like, what are your milestones? Like, where are your biggest celebrations? And I actually struggled to pinpoint certain milestones where we've actually taken a step back and celebrated them. Even 12 years on, there's not really been many where you've said, so I'll go and celebrate this. So I think definitely try and put a pin in milestones and document the process as well, because I think now if you look at successful brands, they've documented where they've started from and where they are, and everyone wants to invest in that founder and that story, and that's something that I'm trying to do a little bit more of now, with just the day in the life and just sort of who we are as a brand. Had a bit more personality, had a bit more of a face. And like I said, he was asking me how many podcasts we've been on. This is only my third ever podcast, and I think 12 years on, I've never done more than 3. So I'm definitely trying to be out there a bit more now. But people have asked us, are we going to go into powders? Are we going to go into drinks? Are we going to go into this and that? And I think it's important for us to not muddy the water too much. It's just we know what we specialise in, we know what we're good at, and we stick to the healthy frozen food. So that's part of what we want as a brand, is that when people hear GSN and see GSN, they recognise us for being who we are as a brand.
Frozen food, full stop.
Yeah. So I think as soon as we start introducing products that don't hit those pillars, then that confuses the message.
It's really interesting because, you get a lot of people would agree with you that, just stick to the thing you know about and do it really well.
Yeah.
And then, I've got a few clients who kind of have 2 or 3 very different. I mean, I was telling somebody about an old client of mine earlier today who they were a big American business and they had 3 strings to their bow, as it were. Mm-hmm. One was autonomous robotic vehicles for picking things off shelves in Amazon warehouses or whatever. The second was printing for Coke cans and tea bag packets and things like that. And the third was what in the US they call casket services, which is funerals and coffins. Mm-hmm. Right. And it was 3, you'd look at these 3 businesses and they were so totally different.
And that was all owned by one mothership. Yeah.
One company.
God, it sounds like, one of those.
It was just so random. But, it's interesting to see the difference between diversify and then if one thing goes off a cliff, you've still got these other 2 things that are working really well. Or just
don't put them all on the same website.
Yeah.
I spoke to a family friend who's sort of regarded as quite a mentor now. And one of the best things we've done recently was introduce a protect, grow and expand sort of concentration in the business. So he was challenging us to sort of protect what you've got and how can you grow what you've got, and then only allowing yourself a couple of new projects in expansion. Because what I went to him with was look at all the different directions that we can go in, look at how many opportunities we've got, and we're dabbling a little bit in here and here and here and here, but not actually doing a good job of any of it. So it was taking a step back and reevaluating what the priorities are, and then only allowing yourself a couple of sort of expansion projects, not too many.
So this brings us to one of the parts of the show that we quite like, the business or bullshit quiz.
Okay.
Do you cue the music? This is where we'll list a bunch of terms and phrases typically used in business, and all you have to do is tell us whether you think it's business or bullshit. And we have the special business or bullshit paddle, which Dee is now handing you. So you can elaborate as well. You don't have to just say business or bullshit, but hold the paddle up.
Okay.
Get your paddle out.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Ready? And we're off. Investment TV shows.
Bullshit.
You been on one? Know anyone on one?
No.
Do you watch them?
No.
Yeah,
So
I'd
I've never
recommend-
even heard of one. What, can you name one?
Dragon's Den.
Ah.
It's really the only one in the UK.
Aren't we supposed to not name it? Because if you're saying Dragon's Den bullshit is... No, I guess that's... I don't know.
Okay, Dragon's Den can't have that thin a skin.
I look at like the Alan Sugar Apprentice, and I
Yeah.
think 5 years ago it was good. Now they're just bringing in people to make good TV, and they're fucking useless.
Lunatics.
Well, it becomes a TV show, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It just becomes... And
But it used
they're
to be
there
enjoyable
about
when
being
they were actually half
famous.
decent. Now they're not. Like, what not to... And yeah, there might be a few. I don't watch it anymore because it kind of got irritating.
Silly.
But Dragon's Den, it's okay. It's something I would do watch. It's not something I've been tempted to go on. But yeah, so mate,
Dwight's
I can
fiddling
see
with his
sense.
paddle.
I'll be halfway. Can you do
can't-
halfway?
No, you
I'm going
can't.
to change my mind. I'm going to
We're
go
playing
business.
tennis here.
I
Can't hit the
probably
ball with the edge.
I would entertain Dragon's Den, so I would say that one's okay.
Founders' egos.
Bullshit. I don't enjoy too much ego.
No.
No.
No, your
Me
ego,
neither.
your ego's in check. You leave it in the gym. Leave it in the gym, lads.
No, I see a lot of people that before they become successful, they've already changed as a person. They treat people differently, and I think it's bullshit. You just be who you are.
Yeah.
Gardening leave. Ever heard of that?
Yeah, that's bullshit. Bullshit.
You've never had it like I've never had it. It's not bullshit if you've had it, I think.
I used to think.
You've had it?
No, I've never had it. But I used to think, oh my God, everybody I like, friends of mine would get put on gardening leave for like 3 months, 6 months. And I'd think, oh my God, that's amazing. They're doing fuck all and they're still being paid. Lucky them. And then I suddenly realized that particularly in professional services, you've got hundreds of clients that you have to keep happy all the time. And if you can't service them, you just lost your business.
Yeah. Well, it never ends as a client base. You build up a client base as a professional. It's like stopping selling food. How long do you stop selling food until people delist you? Basically,
Exactly.
not very
Yeah,
long
there's
at all.
always someone ready to take it off you, isn't there? So I think, yeah, it'd be bullshit because, depending on the circumstances of why you need to garden leave. But yeah,
Encouraging laziness.
definitely.
Mentors.
I would say business. It's something that I've lacked, but I would benefit more from if there was
Have you
sort of more
you've not had
accessibility to
anybody
them.
that's been giving you advice?
Very little.
Apart from your dad,
Yeah, you can talk to family and
whose
sort of family.
advice was jacket in, son.
No, he's always been very encouraging and will always back me or any of the siblings. But yeah, I think it's important to speak to a mentor, even if your dad is your mentor. I think the family relationship, the mentor needs to be someone outside of the family that can tell you straight. So I would say that's definitely business.
My word is my bond. That's a classic British saying. Oh, I feel quite passionate about this. I think this is fucking fundamental the way we do business in
My
this
word
country.
is my bond.
It means when I shake my hand and I tell you I'm going to fucking do
Old
something.
school business shake hand.
Yeah.
I mean,
My word is my bond. You don't need a contract with me. If I tell Pippa that I'm going to get her a pencil sharpener tomorrow, I better fucking get a
How
pencil.
exciting!
I would say I'd love to believe that, but I think it's bullshit because
I bet your word is your bond.
yeah,
I
I do.
would
When I
say-
shake a hand, I don't try and stab anyone about. But I've seen it happen too many times that people say believe me, and then it
I
doesn't
would
come to
say, are
fruition.
you trying to fucking do me out of a job?
Right. Well, no, that's taking it a step too far. You still got to
I'm
have
a
a piece
lawyer.
of paper.
Okay, so
For
when it's
clarity.
My word is
but
my
that's
bond is
when-
the old
that's
principle.
that's something that's been signed. If me and you have had a handshake that's sort of not documented, then my word's my word against yours, and like
Yeah.
you said, that's not
You've
going
gotta-
to
you've
come
gotta
through.
pay for it.
So,
You've gotta
so you
pay
have
for
to
it.
back it up by
Yeah.
the paper. But if it's just word against word, I would say that's bullshit because it's just you never know what people's agendas are.
You've been shafted. You mention it, manufacturers or something, or someone shafted you. Have they?
Employees.
Where have you experienced this not being true?
Staff.
Staff.
I've seen it happen.
But you bullshit your employer. Very interesting word. I don't think you're giving a word as bond. Staff are under a position of power. So when someone's under a position of power and you say, do you do that? You just say, yes, no. And, you know, staff will come in and they have to lie just as much as you have to bullshit them sometimes in terms of but they feel pushed to say whatever you want them to say.
Yeah.
So
the one particular circumstance I'm thinking of where it was staff was where she wanted to leave because she wanted to go back to do something else, and she ended up going to work for the competitor and was the one
So
who
she
gave
told
the
you-
classic.
she
So
told
that
you
was
she was
something that she was
leaving
leaving because
to-
she didn't enjoy the industry anymore and she wanted to go into care, back to social care. And I was like, fair enough, I can't afford. But then when she happened to go to the competitor and gave them everything they wanted to know, then I think that's sort of
Oh, she really screwed you over. But actually, it's very fair
Did she
for
not
her
have
to
a
lie.
restrictive covenant in her contract?
Well,
So that was something that, again,
learned from.
naively just sort of learned from that. But yeah, you didn't have that anti-competes originally. So
That's why they
and
nicked
we've
her.
had a lot of, we've had sort of even supermarkets that have shook your hand. I'm going to invest in your brand. I'm
list you,
definitely partnering.
yeah.
We're definitely listing, and then would shaft you last minute. So
Great examples, because one is staff. Just like when you had to make someone redundant, you probably, you know, well, you have to file, you have to, you know, you tell some half truths or whatever, or breaking up with the relationship. Oh, it's me, it's not you, it's all that. And she's nervous and whatever, but she sounds like she was not a nice person but then again, she didn't have a restrictive covenant. She's young, she's
didn't do
naive.
what
They
felt
asked the
nice,
question.
yeah.
You always try and please your boss. My new boss is paying me more money and I'm trying to please them, so I'll tell them whatever they want. So actually, I don't think that's the word as bond. I do think it's right on the supermarket. But now you're dealing with a big business that doesn't have a conscience, because a big business isn't a person making a deal. It's a big company that they don't control. And they go, we're Tesco's. We're definitely going to do a deal. I'm Tony. He's senior sales in West Midlands or something. I don't have power really to make that decision. Only because I'm quite passionate about my word is my
But
bond, because
on
I
the
think it's really
employee
important in
one-
our culture.
yep.
On the employee one, if she'd had a restrictive covenant in her contract, which meant that she couldn't go and work for somebody else, I totally get her lying to you. I mean, you could then sue her, so it would have been useful for you.
She's embarrassed though.
But,
What
you know, she
choices?
should have just said to you, I've been offered a job with Mr. Competitor down the road and I'm off. Because what could you do about it? Fuck all.
It happens here all the time, Pippa. People, I mean, I can name her, one of our favourite lawyers, and sold my sister a whole song and dance, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, it was, and we were like, you're not doing that, are you, though? You're not going over there with them, are you? And, no, I'd never do that, you know. I mean, it's
I'd like
a
to
position
believe in
of
a
power,
perfect
though.
world that the people are true to the word, but and
That's
I've just,
honesty you're looking for in a situation. Because I'm sorry, I'm a bit overly passionate about this subject, but I'm very business on word is my bond. I think that is fucking.
Look at you with your paddle.
I've got my paddle out.
TikTok.
it is business, but I'm personally not on it, and it's something I've struggled to get on board with. So
You're too old for it. You're too old for it.
I am too old for TikTok. So we've had to hire in. There's a new girl hired in 22. Where's on TikTok? There's too many apps. I can't get on with them all. So TikTok has got its place. Definitely can see its value. But
Really?
it's something
What's its
that,
value?
like TikTok Shop is huge for businesses that
You can sell
make
on
it work.
TikTok now.
and and people can earn
I didn't
incredible
even know you could
commissions
do that.
on TikTok.
Don't you just always
people-
feel you miss every boat?
So even my own missus, she would use TikTok. If we're going to Manchester, what restaurant should we go to and try? She'll go on TikTok before she goes on Google.
Wow, so the younger generation are using it as their primary
It's their
search tool.
yeah, it's the search tool, yeah. And then the ones
Because
that have got
it's
the
the
most likes
speed of
and-
which they can get the information. You can watch 3-4 seconds of clips.
and you're getting video instead of just the general whoever's paid to be top of Google.
Yeah.
So it's a lot truer. So I would say it's
We
got
need
a place
another
for business.
paddle that says too old for TikTok. Too old.
Yeah, I
Too
would say-
old.
Too old.
I'm too old, but I see its place. So it's business.
B Corps. You know what they're about?
Yeah, B Corp. We've looked into it. I think we tick majority of the boxes as a business to qualify for B Corp, but it's whether or not it's worth the money that they charge per year. And I think it's something that
How much do they charge per year, roughly? Do you
for
remember?
us it was $5,000, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a reasonable slice of cash to use their logo, basically.
Yeah, and I think we know what it is, and the retailers will know what it is, but I don't know how much that general punter looks on the back of the pack and knows what B Corp stands for. So I think it's
We should launch
difficult.
C Corp
You haven't
and
chosen.
be like, we're even more serious
So-
than B Corp. We're C Corp.
I'm going to say business because we probably will end up going with it.
Okay.
Because it helps separate us away from the composition that wouldn't qualify for B Corp. But I'd reluctantly be paying the $5,000 per year. I would feel like I need a bit
Come
more
on,
for my
let's
money.
launch our own one. C Corp. Do a
I
similar.
think you need to launch O C Corp.
C Corp. C Corp. But then.
Or
anyway.
even just O Corp.
O
Because
Corp.
the C is in the Corp.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll chat about
branding we'll come back to when we launch it.
internal meetings.
Yeah, I face to face. We'd encourage that more in the office.
How many meetings do you have a week? You're a small team, so you can kind of just chat, can't you?
So we were having too many meetings, just for the sake of updating. So
How many is too many?
We've changed it where it was the full calendar was always something else. So what we do now is like have half an hour to 45 minutes in the morning. It's like a status report of like, this is everything that's
Stand-up
going on.
meeting, they call it.
Yeah, and between me and one other, we'll take it in turns, and that was like you go through the agenda for the day, what are the deadlines, what's coming up, and then almost every day putting in a priority.
What
order
time are you in the
because-
gym? What time are you in the gym?
Because
How many
What time are you using the microwave? What time are you using the microwave?
I definitely found that we were
6
doing
minutes after you.
too many meetings, internal
It's
meetings.
an addiction,
but
isn't
it? With a deadline and a sort of timeline on it of like not too many per day.
Because
and
you
it
have a
can't run
meeting
over.
and you talk and you don't quite resolve things and you think, God, we need to talk some more.
Yeah.
Let's put in we'll meet again in a
And
week.
you're repeating yourself.
And then
a
you're
lot,
like,
so.
what were we talking about? I mean, it's something strange. You know, there's some very successful people who are like, they don't fucking do meetings. You know what I mean? They just don't do them. I mean, I had a guy who worked for Elon in the early Tesla, and he would just sit behind you, watch you for like an hour. So it's just terrifying. Know more what you were doing than you were doing. You know, what are you doing? Where are you with this bit? What are you doing with this bit?
Yeah.
Like,
But
you know,
that's basically tyranny, right?
it fucking worked. I mean, he built a car out of nothing. I mean, what are we trying to do here? Are we trying to do something or are we trying to be nice to each other? I mean, these are really interesting questions because we ain't going to succeed as a society if we're all worrying about being nice to each other, you know, but care about each other. Caring about each other means being successful. I mean, it's a deep chat. Anyway.
Last one. Insta.
It's my go-to Insta, but it's quickly being caught up by LinkedIn. I'm obsessed with LinkedIn at the moment.
LinkedIn is
Look at
coming
that.
in.
Somebody's got to be
Coming
obsessed
in.
with LinkedIn.
Yeah,
No, it's coming in.
Is it?
Yeah, more.
I think it's because they just give me notifications for the sake of it. Like you go
I
on there
get
and it's
so annoyed
somebody.
by the
Well, you're also
somebody
a
else
businessman.
likes something that somebody posted, and I'm like, I thought someone had messaged or it was something important, but
You got to adjust your notifications. You got to adjust your notifications.
Show me how to do that. I think Instagram, as long as you're aware of like who you're following and like why you're following them, I think you can get carried away following too many people and you're just stuck in like a bit
I've
of
just
a comparison
never
world of
really-
everything. But if you want to go in there for inspiration of whether that be a workout, food, holidays, anything like that, I think that Instagram's a great place for that. And to put your family albums or whatever you're doing as your daily updates, I think it's good. It's definitely, yeah. I would
I've
use
never really got
Instagram more
into
so
it.
than
I
Facebook.
should try and get into it. I've never really.
Well, don't
Twitter's
try and
my
get into
jam.
anything. Twitter. Yours is Twitter.
X, my jam.
See, I don't use it.
People being horrible to each other all day. I love it.
I think I agreed with you quite a lot, but I think the scores have got a bit out of hand, mind you.
Okay, so what are you scoring him?
Well, they've got a little bit out of hand, so I think we have to have occasional resets, don't we?
Okay.
I
Where
want
is
to
this
score
going?
you 1,207.
I thought you were going to go with 3. You know.
Well, yeah, no, I'm happy with 1,207 after
Okay.
close consideration because you've been around 12 years, 7
Yeah.
million quid. Life could be worse, you know? Well, keep being healthy, mate. Fantastic, humble work on building a proper British business.
Do you want 30
Yeah.
seconds to pitch?
As GSN, we're looking to build a brand that specialises in healthy frozen food. We want to offer you food that tastes good and is good for you. What you'll find with GSN is that it's always high protein, always low sugar, and it's always convenient. So 6-minute microwave meals that actually taste good and you're going to enjoy them. So give them a go, and I'll drop in a discount code for anyone listening on the podcast.
Fantastic.
Hey.
So there you have it. That was this week's episode of Business Without Bullshit, and we'll be back with our quiz, Business or Bullshit, on Thursday. Until then,
It's ciao.